I was born drunk. I met my mother. She told me that she was a lesbian and that she had been raped by 5 guys. And when she found out she was pregnant, she hated me. And she said that she didn't recall drawing a sober breath the entire pregnancy. She was drunk during the delivery, punch herself in the stomach, and she would fall down, try to kill me, try to cause an abortion. Anybody that I was around. If you cared about me, I made you pay. But it was all me. And I'm the kind of person that came that close every time. There was something there, somebody there, some energy there that was taking care of me. I should have been dead several times over. So I stopped doing LSD. I ended up in a band called Takaiki, played a lot of music. I went on the road. Maybe there's something you're supposed to learn from this. Maybe negativity is not negative at all. Maybe it's actually an opportunity.
Yeah, so just tell me your story and whatever you want to share. It's
Oh, okay. I find that when I have an open space and somebody to talk to, and it goes by quickly, but I can. My honey says that I can talk for days, so it just depends. But generally speaking, I find that people are very interested in my early days. I don't know if I sent that to you or not
oh, I didn't
about the way I
receive
was
it.
born and oh, okay.
No,
All right.
I didn't see it.
So it, it it's it's my hook. It's
Brilliant.
it's my hook. When I send out invitations to somebody that I offer myself as a guest, I will generally start off by saying I was born drunk. And it gets everybody's attention right away. And it's not a lie. It's I was born drunk, and I met my mother. I didn't know about this at the time, and I don't remember having a hangover per se. But when I met my mother, she told me that I met her 35 years ago, something like that. I'm not good at time. But when I met her, she was doing a fifth step for Alcoholics Anonymous, and she was not very happy about meeting me. She was a lot embarrassed, and she was quite aggressive uh, uh, and protective, very protective. But she was honest, which I really appreciated. And she told me that she was a lesbian and that she had been raped by 5 guys, and that she had no idea who my father was. And these men tried to rape her straight. They were going to show her what it was like to be a real man and all that crap that they do to people. And when she found out she was pregnant, she hated me. She had no choice in this matter, and it was a constant reminder. And she said that she didn't recall drawing a sober breath the entire pregnancy.
Oh,
She said that she woke up and drank, and she went to bed and drank, and she drank all day long. And she had no idea what day she was 4 days off on what day she delivered me. And
right.
uh, and she said that she was drunk during the delivery, and she had tried. She would get drunk and punch herself in the stomach, and she would fall down in a stupor and try to kill me, try to cause an abortion. She goes, and she says, and nothing happened. She goes, you were so tough. And I said, well, if it's any help at all, my head is really flat in the back, so maybe that's what you did. You know, that's that. That
Wow.
was at least I got something. So that was the start. She put me up for adoption right away, and I was adopted into a nice Polish family. but there was always a lot of interesting stuff and a lot of drama that went on. My mother, my adopted mother, she had lost a child. Last seconds of delivery, she lost a little girl, and she was they didn't understand what was happening, but at the same time she was going into, I guess, a diabetic coma or a diabetic seizure of some sort, and she started to lose her eyesight, and they basically adopted me. It was sort of like, when the puppy dies, you get another puppy, and I was just the puppy, and she chose me. She went to a orphanage, and she chose me because her reason for choosing me, there was three children that she had a choice out of, and the reason she chose me is because I had a mouth like a chicken butt.
Wow.
I said, so I get adopted by a woman that knows what a chicken butt looks like. Yeah. So anyway, good start, huh? Yeah, good
Oh,
start.
wow.
I can go on if like you like the
Oh,
story, I'll
please
go on.
do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Um, they adopted me, and she was she was a wonderful woman, and so was my dad. And they really had no idea, how to handle things, and doing the best that they could. And my mother took a lot of attention, and she was still as independent as somebody could be that was losing her sight and stuff. So anyway, I guess I was turning 9 years old, and the nuns at our Catholic school came to our family and said, he has a tremendous voice. He's when he sings, it is like so far and above any of the other kids. You really ought to take him for lessons. And my folks did. They took me for lessons, and the series of event went like this. I auditioned for a teacher, and the teacher was a very strict, old school singing coach, and she had I auditioned with her. They called me the next day and said that I was accepted. The following week I had a lesson. The following week after that, I had an agent. I had a booking manager, and the week after that, I had auditioned for the Lyric Opera Company in Philadelphia, and got the part. I was 9 years old, and I sung for the Lyric Opera Company. I sung for a subsidiary of the Met at that did Lohengrin, and I was the boy Prince Gottfried. After that, I studied with the Philadelphia Ballet Company. I was considered what they considered at the time. It was called a second. I was the young man who would dance with the young girl, and I would present her. And I was not a prime dancer, but I was there as a second to her. They couldn't put a man, dancing with a little girl. And so it never happened, but that's what I was being groomed for. And I was being groomed with a girl who ended up a prima ballerina. Her name was Teresa Doyle. And so that was sort of cool. I did a bunch of
Yeah.
shows. I did a lot of shows, variety shows. I got kicked off of an amateur hour because I had already been paid Ted Mack amateur hour, and some woman turned me in and said, "Well, he's already professional." And
Oh,
so that was it, you know. That was the end of that. See, even back then, even back then, people were like, backstabbing and clawing and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I did a couple shows with Carol Burnett, and that was the big claim to fame. And then after that, I left there somewhere in the I don't even know what year it was, but but I started. I lived in Camden, New Jersey, which was one of the worst cities in New Jersey. It was a very tough town, a lot of fighting. My friends, I lost 7 friends in my sophomore year in high school to one to a gunshot, one was hung, and the rest died from heroin overdoses. And one of the people that can attest to the fact that heroin leads to marijuana, and which is, people were doing drugs in my area, mostly codeine and this type of thing. But it was what I grew up with. I didn't know any better, and I would go from this crazy space where you were fighting in the streets to being on stage someplace. And I was pretty oblivious to what was going on with me. I didn't really think about anything. Nobody really taught me how to think, how to process what was going on. Nobody ever asked me if I ever wanted to do something. I just was in these places, and because I could do them, it was assumed that I wanted to do them. Um,
Yeah.
and so I ended up doing starting LSD in the late 60s, early 70s. It was pure, and I stopped doing it when it became a party drug. So I was doing that with there's some kind of urgency that I can look at now and go, I was looking for God. I was looking for something, who am I connecting, but not consciously. I don't think I
Yeah.
was doing it consciously. I think it was a lot of the stuff that I'd done throughout my life, I was driven to do. There was something there, somebody there, some energy there that was taking care of me. I should have been dead several times over, in very bad situations a few times, and walked away completely fine, totally unscathed. And so there was always something that kept me going. And so I stopped doing LSD, and I became a hippie and lived in a commune and played a lot of music. I went on the road, and I'm the kind of person that came that close every time. I came that close to making it. I was in a tour band. I no reason to be playing music with these guys. These guys were really established, taught. They studied music inside out, and they ended up, and I ended up in a band called Takaiki. It was tall trees in Japanese, if I'm pronouncing it right. Uh, but might be bathtub water the way I pronounce it. I don't know. But anyway, there's no reason that I should have ever been playing with these guys, but here I was. Here I was on a stage in a warm-up band for Miles Davis. You know,
Wow.
so at jazz, there's people that play jazz and they do that their whole life, and they focus, and they would love an opportunity like that. And and for me, it was one of the worst things that could have ever happened. It was a horrible experience, and mostly because of what happened with us and Miles, and he was not very receptive to us, you know, but here I was. I replaced Jim Croce in a band. I've always been that close, and
Yeah.
never over the hump. Truth of the matter is, after I came away from that whole era, that whole part of my life, uh, I started to realize that I really didn't want to do any of it. Nobody asked me at a very early age, do you want to sing? I could sing. And so the incentive that I had, and the thing that I can say is the most honest truth that I can give, is that I did everything with the intention of, if I sing, will you keep me?
Mm.
If I sing, will you love me? You know, I'll do anything, just, and I can tell you that I in a weird way, I can prove it because I never studied any of it. I never tried to get better. I never put myself into it. I never did any of it,
Yeah.
not a bit, you know. And so I spent my whole life up until the point where I got sober. Um, I spent my whole life being handed from situation to situation, people to different people caring about me, uh, drawing me in. Before I got sober, I was smoking a tremendous amount of cocaine and paying for none of it. I was always connected to people who were big time. They were dealers and all this stuff. I lived with the dealer, and I smoked enough cocaine that I was having seizures, and I fell into a plate glass window in Brentwood. Speaking of Brentwood, it's probably burned down, and what's happening in California right now, I realized that area back there, it was one of my playing grounds.
Right.
The part that's happening right now.
Yeah.
And so, I fell into this plate glass window. It shattered, and I didn't get a cut. I didn't get a nick, nothing. You know, it just so they asked me to leave. The one girl that asked me to leave, she said that I was going to get them caught. You know, she said that I was a detriment and a liability, and that I had to go, and I did, and I ended up in Hollywood area. Excuse me. I ended up in Hollywood area, and I ended up on the doorstep of a place called the Log Cabin, and it's pretty famous in L.A. as being in Hollywood as being one of the places you go to get sober. And I didn't do that to get sober. I went there because I was homeless. I was on the street, and they gave you coffee and cookies, and that's why I went. You
Yeah.
know, so it was another thing that I was taken care of. Somebody said, "Okay, enough's enough. We got to get him straight. We got to do something about this guy." I did a lot of damage along the way. Anybody who loved me, I was married to a wonderful girl, and I destroyed her. I really did a number on her because or anybody that I was around. If you cared about me, I made you pay.
Mm.
And once you left, then I would say, "See, they don't love me. They kicked me to the side of the curb. They don't care about me." But it was all me. It was all me. Just finding out was their what was their breaking point and doing it over and over again until they left. And then I was right. I was
Yeah.
right. You know. But if I could tell people about raising kids, is that ask them questions, find out what's going on. No one ever did. People looked at me and they assumed that I was fine. You know, they just looked at me and went, he's cool. Look how he's smart. He's all this kind of stuff. Something, excuse me, a frog in my throat today. Um,
Mm.
I I did not know how to read, and no one knew that.
Right.
No one had a clue. When I did opera, when I was when I was Gottfried in Lohengrin, um, they expected that I had some idea of what it was that I was singing, the notations, the cadence, the whole thing that you needed in order to sing opera. They assumed that I knew that kind of stuff. I already found out that if I could get somebody to sing it for me, I didn't have to read it. I remembered
Right.
it instantly. If I heard it, I got it. If I read it, it was gone. Absolutely gone. And that's even still to today, it's better, but it's similar. If I read something, I still, like tomorrow, the likelihood is I'm not going to remember what I read. You
Mm.
know, it'll be gone tomorrow. But now I have fail safes, and if I need something, you can record it, or I can ask my honey to read something to me, or most of the time I have this connection now that I use, the universal connection that I wrote the book with, and that when I'm helping people working with clients. It's all the same. It's all a universal connection of some sort that's giving me information that I don't have otherwise. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. So it's just been so interesting. Uh, the turning point for me was in AA. I had a I had a sponsor early on who was a maniac. He was absolutely crazy, and you're not supposed to give anybody's names and everything. He was Bob S. And Bob used to come to meetings, and he'd be packing. He always had some kind of gun on him. He always had one of these automatic weapons and on his motorcycle. And yeah, he was nuts. He was just completely nuts, and he was the man who saved my life and turned it around for me. He told me one time, he said, "So, are you done hurting yourself?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He said, "Man," he goes, "you're your worst enemy." He goes, "Everybody loves you." He goes, "I wish people would think of me the way that they think of you. You're charming. You talk well." He goes, "You're fine around people." He says, "And then you ruin it." He goes, "It's all on you, man." And the light went on. The light went on, and I said, "Okay, I'm going to stop hurting me." I said, "So, okay, if I hurt you instead?" And he said, "Sure." He goes, "But you don't do that anyway." All right. All right. So, with that bit of clarity, I started to recognize that I really did like sponsoring people in the program. I in the beginning, I may not have been very good, and I may have done damage at different times and stuff, but I guess that's part of the program anyway. But anyway, I liked it. I liked helping people. And so I set out to try and do that. It's the first time in my life that I wanted to do anything.
Wow.
You know? I mean, yeah, I want to help. Wow. Pretty cool, huh?
Did you
What do
fit
you think so far?
so much? I mean, did you know that you were adopted when you were growing up?
Mhm.
They were open with
Yeah,
you,
they
were they?
they told me right away. My father, um, my father used to take Polish jokes. You know how big they were big for a long time, Polish jokes.
Yeah.
And my father, God love him. Uh, my father used to take Polish jokes, and he would say, how many Greeks does it take to screw in a light bulb? So he would change Polish to Greek, and he would say, give the answer, and he would laugh and think it was the funniest thing, and everybody would look at him like he was crazy because it didn't make any sense why he would do that and why he would aim it at me. But I found out when I was about 18 years old. I left home late 16, early 17 years old, moved into a commune. But around 18, when they knew I wasn't coming back, my dad, he said, "Well, see you later, Joseph." And I went, "Yes, sure, Sam." You know, I was a cocky ass. And he said, your real name is Joseph." And I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah." He goes, "Your name is Joseph Cyprius." And I went, "Why didn't you tell me?" He said, "Because we didn't want you to get in trouble by knowing who your parents were. We knew you would go and find them. You would go and try and track them down, and that would cause us a lot of trouble," which he wasn't entirely wrong about that. What had happened is that at the orphanage, my father saw a paper that he was not supposed to see. He saw a glance of my name, and he read it very quickly, and he thought that my name was Cyprius, which would have been Greek, which would have made all of those jokes valid. You know? Yeah, that was his idea. Yeah, Cyprius. But in true Polish fashion, I'm getting him back now. In true Polak fashion, he misread it, and my last name was Caprice. Close, and
Yeah.
Caprice is Polish. So my real name would have been Joseph Robert Caprice,
Wow.
which, having met my mother, when I oh so there you go. So I met my mother, and she told me all this wonderful stuff about wanting to kill me and everything. And then she asked me, she said, "Could I ask you a favor?" And I was like, "You tried to kill me. You know, you tried to kill me. You tried to take me out and everything." "Sure, we go way back. What do you want?" And she said, "Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody about this. No one knows about you. No one knows anything about you." And I was like, "Sure, sure. I don't need to tell anyone at that point." And she goes, "After I die, do what you want to do." And I said, "Yeah, okay." So so I was in the living room here at the house, and I turned to my honey and I said, "Marion's dead." Many years later, I said, "Marion's dead." And Janet said, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Yeah, I just felt it." And she's amazing. My honey's amazing. And she just went to town tracking everything down, trying to find out any information at all. I was a few days off with her passing, but I just I knew she had died. And so I think I was like, I don't remember, 3 days off, something like that.
Right.
Anyway, we went to town. We went to town. She went to town trying to track down anything she could find about my family because all bets were off now. Marion was dead. My bio mother was dead, and then she started finding people, and we did DNA tests, and I came up with a whole other family who pretty much I have nothing to do with now again. So I have two families that I don't talk to,
Wow.
except for except for my brothers. My
Mm,
brothers were great. This has
brilliant.
sort of been fun. I don't know if you people are going to like hearing all this crap or not, but
Yeah,
who knows?
no, it's fascinating. And I can identify with you saying about the self-sabotaging to the on the relationships and it that belonging, just wanting to feel loved. And I think as a community, we want that, even if we're hurting. And it doesn't matter where it is, we just want that validation to be loved. And then we self-sabotage it and say, I told you so, I knew this would happen. And it can be such a vicious circle, can't it? And it's
Yeah,
finding out why we do it. And sometimes it's staring you in the face, and sometimes we just don't know why we do it.
yeah. A lot of times what happens, I found this working with all my clients over the years, is that a thought that we have gets blocked by the idea that we know what that thought means already. We could actually go deeper into just about anything about ourselves and find out the reasons that we do things, find out that there's something else, but we get blocked. You know, an example would be everybody that comes to me, and I still do. I'm still seeing people. I'm still taking in clients. And nothing has changed over the years. Everybody that comes to me wants to know how to get over negativity because they've been taught that that's what you do. They've been taught that it's something you got to give it up, you got to let it go, you got to get over it and let it pass and all that stuff. And that's what they've been taught. And they've been taught that by people who did the same thing. They never thought about it either. They really
Mike's not where. Sorry, Raymond. I can't hear you. I don't know what happened.
Hello?
Oh, that's
Hello?
better. Yeah. Yeah. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
okay. Yeah, uh-huh. Yeah,
Sorry.
sorry about that. I think I hit a button over here. I don't like buttons.
Yeah, no
So I was
problem.
saying I was saying that people have because information was handed down to them, because the information that you get like from birth all the way out, that information is very important because accepting that information gets you fed. Accepting that information from your parents, from all these things, keeps you safe. So you don't challenge those things. You're not taught to challenge those things. You're taught that these are the facts and you accept them. So people that come for negativity, talking about, how do I get over this? He hurt me or she did this to me or however it is, how do we get over it? And I seem to be handed the next step on a continuous basis. I seem to be the connection that I have is always tapping me on the shoulder and saying, "How about this? What about this? Tell them this. Do this." And I found myself saying to somebody, and now I do it all the time. Why do you want to get over it? If it's negative, why would you ever want to get over it? Why would you want to let it all go? Maybe there's something you're supposed to learn from this, you know? Maybe negativity is not negative at all. Maybe it's actually an opportunity, which is what I teach people now. Negativity of any sort is an absolute opportunity. It'll go away all on its own when you've milked it, when you've gotten everything out of it that you can possibly get, when you've learned all your lessons, when you've learned how to see it coming, when you've learned how to be a part of it, when whatever it is that you needed to learn, when you learn all that stuff, the negativity will go away. It'll stop bothering you, but it bothers you to get your attention, not just to make you feel bad, never to make you feel bad. It's always something that's saying, look, there's more to this. Go deeper. Find out what's happening. What are the feelings behind all this thing? How did they make you feel? What situation did you put yourself into that caused this to happen? There's so much to get from that. But if you're not taught that's the possibility, you won't learn it. I think something that when I tell people in my sessions, when I tell them that you think you're grown up, but the truth is humanity is in its infancy. We're still a bunch of little kids thinking that we know it all, thinking that, well, hey, we put a man in space. We have computers. We can talk to people, across the world, and we can do all that. That makes us adults. It doesn't. It doesn't.
Absolutely.
Makes us a bunch of children with bigger toys. Mhm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Where did this, because I get from you that you're so intuitive and there's a lot of positivity coming from you. Where did you get that from? From
I
your
I
story, it's like a big turnaround.
yeah, I see it as that. I see it that it could be viewed as a big turnaround, but I sort of think that it was like I got to read a really cool book, and now I'm getting close to the end of it. Now I'm like going, wow, that was really great, and all these things happened, and these wonderful stories, and yeah, it was scary, and yeah, it was painful, and all that, but that makes a good book, doesn't it? That 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 stuff is useful. It's really great. Um, I I know that I have felt things before. I used to attribute insights into doing hallucinogens in the early stages, doing different types of drugs for experimental reasons. And I used to say that that's probably where a lot of it came from. I don't anymore. Um, I think that what happens is that when you start to recognize that all of us are connected, at what level does that stop? At what level do we cease to be connected if we're all connected? And it doesn't. It absolutely doesn't stop. What happens is it gets tighter, it gets closer. We get more and more connected. I think the information that I get is as a result of so many people hurting, so many people in pain, so many people wanting answers, asking, why is this happening? Looking for more information. How come I can't be loved? How come I can't be intimate with somebody? What do we do about all this kind of stuff? Why are we so disconnected? And enough people ask that kind of thing, and ultimately, in part, little part and parcels of information, of energy that's out there in the universe. When people die, their energy disperses. I don't know what the hell it is. I'm not one of those people that claims to know it. This is just an idea that I've gotten that sort of makes sense to me. That when people die, their intentions, all the stuff that were important to them, are information and energy that acquiesces into something that eventually disperses into the universe. Okay. I sort of think that the things that are important, they last longer. They're more connected. Maybe other people pick up on these feelings, these needs. And I think what happens is that piecemeal, the that energy will come together in the form of answers, in the form of very simple, um, do this, try this, change that. And I think for some reason that I'm the vessel. I'm the vessel that it comes to. It's weird. Uh, I I've had this to some extent all my life. I have, like I said, I people come up and say, "Hey, this song needs a sax part. Can you play the sax?" I go, "Yeah, sure, I could play a sax." And they hand me a sax, and a week later, I'm on stage playing parts. That's not right. That's crazy. But it's also some kind of odd connection that I have, that if I don't get in the way, then all this stuff comes and it pours through me. It seems that way. I I noticed it mostly. I can pinpoint a starting point at, like, going back to AA, where I started hearing voices. Sounds crazy. Maybe it is crazy. I don't know. you know, but I started hearing voices when I would speak in the program, and I had several years back then. Now I've got like 40 years of sobriety now.
Right.
But so many years into it, I would speak, and I had this feeling that I wanted to become a circuit speaker in AA, and but I started getting this impression that the information that I had, that I was imparting about my sobriety and about my life and about the changes and all that stuff, was actually starting to do more damage in the program than it was doing good. I was giving clear information, and people who just came into the program, I felt like they were hearing what I said and saying to themselves, "Oh, I do that," and taking the information without having the experience. And so I said, I got to stop. I knew that I had to pull away. Uh, so I went outside of the program to try and talk and do whatever I could. I started to do a thing called the whole bowl of facts,
Right.
and it was a bunch of different topics. There was a Big Bang Theory, there was being in the moment, there's a bunch of different things that I would talk about, and they were really fun, and it was really cool to do. I enjoyed the hell out of it, and I had absolutely no reason to have any of that information. Not a bit. I hadn't read a word of it anywhere. It's all stuff that was coming to me. I was glad it was coming to me, but I didn't know. I don't know how or why. That stuff started to work inside of my sessions with clients, uh, but it really got much deeper, And uh, I'd be talking to somebody, and I, when I'm talking, I noticed something, and so did Janet, that when I channel information, when it's coming through me, there's no stutter, there's no deciding where it's going to go. There's just clarity. It just sort of flows right out of me, and it's like, and I can, so many times, especially in the beginning when it was really starting to work all the time. Um, I would feel like I was being pushed out of the way. I feel like something's coming in here, and then all these words would come out, and clarity would come out. Uh, Tools that people needed, they would come out, and then I would hear the same thing that I heard in AA, but the message was more than one. More than one. What the hell are you telling me? More than one. What does this mean? More than one. Why is this happening all the time? And then it took a little bit of time, but I recognized that what that message was this information that I was being given was not, was for that person that I was giving it to, but it was supposed to reach a lot more people. And I said, fine, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? So I set out to write the book. The book went through three phases. The first phase, I wrote and I wrote and I wrote, and I was over 300 pages. And I looked at it when it was all done, and I went, I don't even understand this. I have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. So I went, okay, so that's not any good. Try again. And then I came up with a pamphlet that was, I went from 300 pages down to like 20 some pages. I condensed it, and I looked at that, and I was like, ta-da, I'm done. Everything's cool. I'm done. Look at this. And I looked at it, and I went, nobody's going to take 20 pages seriously. Okay. So then I did it again. And this time it was interesting because the other times that I did it, I sort of wanted some control. You know, I knew the information because it had come through me so many times. I had handed it out so often to people. I was at a place now that I didn't need to have things channeled. I would be open if it wanted to give me information. Fine, I never stopped it. But I also knew enough that and I knew enough that I recognized that people's problems, although the issues seemed to be different, the problems were always the same. I wasn't being listened to. I wasn't being honored. I didn't. I felt lonely. All that stuff was all the same. To every person, just the way that it came to them was different. And so so the third time I listened and I wrote the book. And if your people get a chance, okay, so I got it here because I'm supposed to do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, universal guide to a healthy selfish relationship slash partnership. Relationship is crossed out. And by the way, healthy selfishness it's a really big thing that we should talk about. But anyway, I wrote the book. I was guided page by page. I would wake up in the middle of the night and find the word that I needed to move. I'm starting to channel right now, and I'm not sure what's going on here. But I would find the word that I needed to move, and I would move it. And I was being guided. Hang on. I was being guided to write in a particular way so that it was appealing, so that it was pleasing to people, but mostly it was written in a way that could really be viewed as if I'm talking to somebody. The book looks like poetry, and it's not. It's written with a cadence. If you read the book, if you have somebody read the book to you, you know how in a sentence there's those different pauses, like that one?
Yeah.
That's how the book is written. The book is written as if I'm not asking you to interpret it. I'm asking you to listen to what I'm saying.
Yeah, that makes
Okay?
sense.
You understand that? And so when people read it, my friends, I asked people to read it before it went out, and my friends said the same thing. Everybody said it's like listening to you talk. It's like having a conversation with you, and everything, every bit of it, like I, every comma, every break in the whole thing was channeled, every bit of it. So I'm really proud to be a part of that thing. And I think it's a lot of fun. It's a
Yeah.
lot of silliness in there. There's artwork in there, and it's a cool thing. I hope people, I hope it takes off. But
Mm.
yeah, yeah,
When when did you
it's really
publish
nice.
it?
I published it in like February, I guess, of last year. And,
Amazing.
I started to try and promote the book. I got a marketing person, and I maxed out all my cards, and went through all the money that I had to try and market it. And it's a different world. It's a very different world if you're trying to market something. Uh, with zillions of books coming out every day, the chance of actually taking off. So I just said, something, I want to go ahead and be a guest on anybody's podcast that'll have me. And I'm going to talk about the message. And if people want to buy the book, buy the book. That's fine. You know, if people want to come to me for private sessions, I'd love that. I love that. That's fine. But it's out of my hands. It really is out of my hands. I'm the guy with the message. I'm going to be 75 here shortly. And, so I don't know. I don't know how much time I have left. I'm just going to be out there and passing it out as best as I can.
I
Yeah.
think being on podcasts, being able to see and hear you really helps when reading the book then. And because as you said, there's so many books out there. And when you read the back of a book, so many sound similar. And
Yeah.
hearing you talking about it, that's what makes it different and special. So
Yeah.
yeah, I appreciate you talking about it. It makes a big, big difference.
Somebody said, "What genre is your book?" And I said, "Man, I don't know. I don't know. All I know um, is that if you are unhappy in your relationships, then this book will teach you how to become partners, and that partners." Being in a partnership is an adult version of a relationship. Being in a relationship is about two people following in the footsteps of their parents and the people before them and doing all of these things. It's crazy. It is the absolute definition of insanity. It's doing the same things over and over again, expecting different results. I really got to a place where I don't want to be negative, totally negative about relationships, but I believe that they're divisive. I don't believe that relationships work anymore. I think that having a husband in a situation and having a wife and they both act like husbands and wives, they're not going to get along in today's life, you know. And the simple fact is that in a partnership, it requires equals. Being partners, me and you are partners. We got to care for each other if we want the partnership to be successful. We got to ask each other every day, how you doing today? Can you perform today? What do you need, today for us to be successful? You know, does any of the stuff that we're doing today remind you of anything that happened before? And how can we learn from that? Instead of things being negative, or instead of not bringing in our past experiences, let's bring it all so that we can learn from it. We can go to, yeah, something, I really did like this person. I really did care about them for an awful long time. What happened? Well, we stopped doing this. Okay, good. We won't do that. We will look at things in a particular way. I didn't feel loved. Did you feel wanted? Did you feel like instead of somebody saying, I love you, did they say, I want you in my life? Did they tell you how they value you? Of course not. Of course not. They're not even aware of it. You know, we spend all of our time trying to fix things in relationships and not trying to learn about them and prevent them from happening again. We don't think
Absolutely.
about that stuff, you know? I think if I could say anything, what genre is my book? My book is in, it should be in a one bookshelf of adult reading.
I like that.
You know, I'm sorry. There's probably other stuff out there. Take it with a grain because, like I said, I haven't read a word of this anywhere. So I don't know if I hope there are other people out there that are passing this message. I hope that the message, it's time for that message to be received and people are going to be open for it. You know, yeah, I hope that that's the truth, but I don't know, and I have never heard of anybody ever saying they heard about partnership the way that I presented. I've never heard it. People are constantly going, "Wow, that's interesting. How come we don't know about that?" Maybe it's just time for you to know about it. It's time for us to start to question. And I think a lot of this has to do with women to a great degree. I think that there's something that that we need to say to women, uh, that could help change everything. And that something is, maybe you were right. Maybe you were right about questioning. Maybe you were right about not letting anything go. Maybe you were right about looking at things from all different angles and calling people out on it. Maybe we just didn't know that what you were doing was actually the next step that we needed to take. I believe that women have answers that men don't have because of the way that they were raised. I believe that when a little girl is born, before she can walk, she's handed a baby, to take care of. That's, you're going to be a mommy someday. You're going to have to take care of all this stuff, and this is going to be your responsibility. And a boy gets handed a baseball and dirt. It's like, it's very unfair what happens to both sides. It's not anybody's fault, and that's something that I really preface, when I'm working with people, is if you knew better, If you knew how to treat each other as equals and you didn't do it, then it's your fault. But if you didn't know, if nobody ever told you that you needed to do and how it will benefit you, it's not your fault. Just go, okay, screw it. I'm going to learn this thing. That's the big lesson for men. Men don't understand that what women bring to the table is really beneficial for them. No one ever told them. Men are told that women are crazy. Men are told you can't please them. You're never going to understand them. You can't outtalk them. Yeah, but that makes a good partner. A good partner in a good business, you want somebody that's going to analyze everything, that's going to question all this kind of stuff, that's going to want to know that everything is good and that we're not going to do. That's very powerful in a business plan. And
Mm.
and that's what we need. That's what partnership is about. It's a business plan. So
Yeah.
if you flat out reject women because all of your friends tell you to reject women, then you're going to lose. If women don't understand what it is to make up a man, how simple we are, but how clear we can be, how clear we can look at a situation and go, okay, that's it. We do it. You know? And if women understand that when they're talking to a man, they're not talking to a girlfriend. They're just not. There's just no way that the two of them that you can treat each other like you would your friend. You got to learn how to talk to them and how to listen and how to communicate. So much stuff about the relationships that we have. People, how do we communicate? How are you communicating now? What are you doing right now to communicate? Well, this is what we do. See, I went to a therapist. I get this a lot. I went to a therapist, and the therapist suggested that what we do is we take 5 minutes and we talk, and the other person sits there and listens for 5 minutes, and then it's their turn to talk. Sounds good. Doesn't work. The reason it doesn't work is because there's absolutely no guarantee that the other person's listening while you're talking. And if they are listening, the first thing that they're generally saying is, I heard all this before. Here we go again. Yeah, let's
Mhm.
see how long this lasts. They know all this kind of stuff because the feelings that they have about what has happened before are still not being addressed, still not being looked at, or not paying attention to. The feelings that we have are not being honored. So why in God's name would I want to listen to you? You're
Makes a
just
lot
going
of
to tell me the
sense.
same shit all over again. What I can do is that I can make an agreement with you to do the one thing that I can control. I'm going to get myself ready and I'm going to say, okay, I need to hear what you have to say. I need to listen to you. And that I can control, whether I listen to you or not. But I have to be ready to do it. I have to go, whatever I got to do, jumping jacks or whatever I want to do, or do a meditation and get myself ready, because it's important to me to hear what it is that you're saying. It's important to me because I want a good partnership. It's important to me because I want to be happy, because I want to be connected to you. I remind myself of that, and now I'm going to sit and I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to find out what you're feeling, find out what's going on here. What am I doing to cause these differences? I'm not going to say, oh, I don't do that. I'm going to say, oh, you think I do that? Okay. All right. Because if you feel like you're being ignored, you're right. That's your feeling. I can't say, well, I don't ignore you, and you go, oh, okay, then I don't feel that way. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't even come close. then it's like, what the hell we do? What do kids call that, gaslighting or something?
Right,
I'm
yeah.
trying to understand that so I can talk to kids more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
pretty crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's really important what you said because partnerships is it's about bringing all your strengths together to be that strong team, and
Yeah,
it makes complete sense.
yeah. Uh, People don't want to give up their position. Men in particular have a hard time uh, giving up that assumed power. We're men. We make the decisions. You guys are
Mm,
just women and all that. Men have really got to look and see if the way that they're treating their partner, their spouse, whatever, their girlfriends, if it pays off. Is it getting you what you want? You know, and if it's not, and if you're not happy, then you better change it. I start off all my sessions, sometimes people will come to me, and depending on their particular problem, their particular issues, I will occasionally say, listen, what we need to do is we need to see us separately first. Let's not try to fix the relationship, because you guys don't know what you're talking about. You're really stuck in all this stuff. So let me see you first a little while, and try to actually get an understanding of what is it that you're trying to get out of these sessions.
yeah,
And what I want them to do is I want them to say, okay, so really, I just want to be happy. That's what I want. I want to be happy. If I can get somebody to say that, then I can get them to understand that everything that they do in one way or another is preventing them from getting that happy. It's stopping them from finding their happiness. So in order to get the happiness, I have to go, I don't know what I'm doing. What do I do now? If I want to be happy and I want to be happy with you, then I need to accept responsibility for everything that I do with you, so that when it comes back to me, it comes back to me in a way, it filters down to me in a way that allows me to be happy. I want to treat you well. I want to listen to you. I want you to feel like you're important, that you're my partner. I want you to feel all of these things, because if I can do that, if I can spend time caring for my partner, simple fact is they won't be a pain in the ass. Okay?
yeah,
And we don't get that. We just don't get that. Well, you have to treat me better. you know, how come you won't talk to me? How come you keep doing this kind of stuff to me? Well, maybe it's because of the way that I've treated you that's causing that. You know, I get this a lot. Another big one. She's such a bitch. What you marry her for? Well, what do you mean? Well, did you marry her because she was a bitch? I mean, did you really do research and go, this one's a bitch. Okay, I'm going to marry her. I'm going to ruin my life. You bet. Yeah. If you didn't do that, then you got to figure out what happened that turned her into a bitch. What did you do? I had something. Let's see if I can find this thing. I had a postcard. Get so much crap around here. They say that artists are messy.
yeah.
I
Oh, you
think
should see my
yeah,
desk.
yeah, here you go. So I came up with this postcard, and I was sending it out, and then sort of figured out that people were throwing it away. But anyway, it's sort of cool. That's my caricature. Yeah,
Brilliant. I love
so,
that. That's great.
so so what it says is, on the back it says the benefits of partnership. When you offer her a place at the table, she'll bring her gifts. We fight each other constantly to be heard first. In any situation, we fight for our place, and it's a waste of time. It's an absolute waste of time when the other person says, I love you and I want you to be my partner. The last thing you should have to do before you get to the issue is trying to find out if that's true. Do you really love me? Do you really care about me? What do you think of me? How do you value me? All this kind of stuff comes before we talk about an issue. If all of those things are already resolved, for instance, my honey doesn't have to worry about my intentions. My intentions are to have a good, positive relationship and partnership with her, and that I'm not going to risk losing that.
Mm,
She knows that, so she doesn't have to be assured of that before we talk about where are we going to go on vacation,
mm,
or how are we going to handle the kids this year, whatever it is. But people, those are opportunities for us to solidify the reasons that we're together. We shouldn't have to do that all the time.
mm,
That should be done. That should be done. That should be solid all the time. That should be because we've made an effort to call each other partner. We stop saying honey and all those kinds of things, just little, sweet things that we do. We call each other partner as a reminder that that partnership is important to me, and you're my partner. So I'm telling you, you're my partner. That's important to me. Um, that kind of thing, or I love you. Everybody that comes to me for work, every single person comes to me says I love you, and I wait for my spot because I'm sneaky and I'm manipulative, and I wait for my spot and I say, boy, I'm glad you don't love me, because the way you love each other sucks.
mm,
The way you love each other, just you say I love you and it's meant to shut the person down. I love you. Oh, okay, I guess we're okay. Did it touch the
mm.
problem? Did it fix the issue? Did it address the feelings? No. Didn't do any of that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
telling somebody, I want you in my life, what do we do about it? I want you in my life. Yeah, I love you and everything, but more importantly, I want you in my life. You're my partner, you know? If you're not feeling good, trust me, it's okay to tell me. It's okay to ask me, did you mean to hurt me? Because you did. Did you mean to hurt me? And if you didn't mean to hurt me, and I know that it doesn't benefit you when you hurt me, then we better figure out a different way of doing things so you don't hurt me, you know, and that we can move on here. We can learn something too.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I
People
think
say
that,
that,
no, go on.
no, I say people always talk about, actions speaking louder than words. And I think that the most important thing in a good partnership is intention. It's
Mm,
not actions because we don't know how to act most of the time. It's not words because, the words are connected to, things that have been faulty before, but the intention of learning how to be and learning how to do those things, if that doesn't change, we have a chance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I
of
was going to
course.
say, you hear so many times, don't you, that I love them, but I just couldn't live with them.
Yeah,
So being able to split and still be mutual and get on for whatever reason, whether there's children or whatever, it's good that that's been recognized and that you can move on without resentments.
yeah. Yeah,
So,
I think that when people start to understand when this idea about partnership permeates humanity, so to speak, people will recognize that we have a fighting chance of working these things out if we say if we say, okay, we love each other, what do we do now? You know, we take that off the table. Do you love me? You do? Okay, then we take that off the table. You want to be together? Good, let's take that off the table. And now, in a business sense, we can look at each other and go, okay, so what do we do now? What do you need? What do I need? Let's try and do that. Let's try and help each other save this thing because we both do love each other. Now, I'm not saying that you know, I will break people up. I will tell them, you know, something you're not getting it until you get it. You guys suck, you know, and so I'm because I don't care. I'm about people. I'm about helping people become happy. That's the whole thing. So so the idea about getting people to approach each other in a way that says, you know, let's what do you want to do about this? What do you want to do about this? And more importantly, why do you want to do anything about it at all? You know? Why are we together? What is really happening here? Um, and a good example is infidelity. Everybody and their mother says, you cheat on me and it's over. I won't put up with that. We're done. And I look at infidelity and say, boy, this is a great learning experience. It's a fantastic learning experience. The proof is that we hardly ever look at the person who did the cheating. We always look at the person that got cheated on. And the person that got cheated on, they were oblivious. They didn't know what was going on most of the time anyway. Sometime anyway. They don't know what's going on. And all of a sudden, bam, they find out that they've been cheated on and they're broken. They're a mess. If you research what had happened to the person that did the cheating, you find emptiness, loneliness, misunderstanding for years, disconnection for years, lack of sex, lack of, you know, lack of uh, a moment of peace, you know.
yeah.
There's all these things that the person that cheated has been living with for ages. Now, not all the time. Sometimes somebody will walk into a bar and go, "Hey, look, she's great," and you know, you go home and you bang her, you know, and that I mean, it does happen. But for the most part, if if you knew what you had, if you valued what it is that's important to you, you could be in that bar and say, "Nah, nah, thanks. That's nice. I appreciate it. You really think I'm cute? Okay, that's great. That's great. I like that and everything. I'm gonna go home and tell my honey."
Yeah.
You know. So staying staying for the kids is horrible. Back up and find out why you would stay for the kids. What are you giving up? Have you lost all interest in each other? Is there absolutely no connection and you're just going to stay for the kids and you're going to continue to do that? Or are you going to say, maybe there is a way of fixing this and we just don't know about it? You know? You always can go back to saying, what happened when we first met? What was it like? Really were attracted, really cared about each other. And slowly something chipped away at it. Slowly there was more and more distance. Slowly we stopped communicating. Slowly we started to get angry. I know that so many men sit there in their chair, and she walks into a room and he goes, oh, shit. Whether she says anything or not, whether she's wanting to, or maybe she had great intentions of doing something, but it's just you get to a point where you get so tired of it, and you don't understand that there is easily something you can do. There's so much that we can do about these things, and particularly about that time in life where everything is just done, absolutely done. That's a great starting point.
Yeah.
Uh,
Raven, that's
how-
amazing. Before we start to wrap up, tell me about where we can find the book and how you work with people and all the information that we need to
oh,
know.
sure. I'm okay. So if anybody wants to get in touch with me, you can contact me at ray.innerpower@gmail.com. And I don't care where you're at. Any part in the world, this is all done on video now. I gave up my beautiful office. It makes me cry. I really liked it. But everything is online now, and it doesn't matter what time you need, I will work with you. We'll figure out a way to do that kind of thing. If you're interested in what I have to say, then I'm interested in making it work for you. So
Amazing.
so that's cool. That is ray.innerpower@gmail.com. And the book, Universal Guide to a Healthy Selfish Relationship/Partnership, that's available on Amazon and Kindle, and if you go to BookLocker, you might be able to even get a discount. It's available in paperback and online, and as an ebook. And someday when I get enough money, I'm going to do it on a video. What's that called?
An audio book, is it?
An audiobook. Yes, yes, yes. I
Oh,
want to try
wow.
and do that sometime now too. But a bunch of
Wow.
people got to buy some books first, or give me some more clients, and there we go.
Oh,
So
absolutely. That's
I think
brilliant.
that's about it. Yeah, and listen, anybody out there, that hears this, if you mention this podcast, I give you a free 15-minute consultation. Ask me any questions you want, and see if I could maybe help you out that way. Um, I'm going to be doing Zoom classes shortly here, and those are going to be a Hey Ray Q&A, and hopefully I'm trying to put that together right now so that people can come in and be part of like a seminar kind of thing. I don't know how any of that works. I can barely use my phone, but I will figure it out. Um, I'm going to kidnap a 20-year-old that knows how to do all that stuff and change their
Yeah.
life for the better as they help me out because man, I have a hard time figuring that stuff out. Wow. But it'll
Yeah, it
happen.
can be a nightmare. It can be a
Mhm.
nightmare. But thank you for all that. That's amazing. And please let me know when you do start to do those because I'll share it
Thank you.
around and because I think that would be so beneficial for people.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on too. You've been great, and it when I have a good guest, um, I can feel their interest in what it is that I'm saying, and it really empowers me to continue doing this kind of thing, and getting the word out and stuff, and knowing that I'm on the right track for people. So thank you. Thanks for having me.
No, absolutely. And everyone that I speak to, I always say just try something if you haven't tried it before because you don't know if it may work for you. And there's no
Yeah,
harm in trying.
yeah,
So until
yeah,
and that's how we learn.
yeah. There you go.
You are
All
a
right.
superstar. I
So,
am so, so grateful for your time and for everything that you shared.
of course.
And I will be looking for your book after we finish the podcast.
Thank you so much. All right.
Thank
So
you.
to everybody out there, and you told me where you're from?
South Wales.
South Wales. Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Okay, everybody. Are you called Walians? We, yeah, we're being visited by Walians.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm being a jerk.
Don't be sorry at all.
You know?
Oh, I'm very
Well,
lucky.
thank
It's
you.
very beautiful. It's very beautiful, but yes.
That sounds nice. Okay. See you next
Please
time.
keep in touch. I will let you know when the podcast goes live, and I'll make sure all your information is in there as well.
Okay.
But please keep me up to date with anything that happens. I'm more than happy to share it and spread it out to everyone.
Oh, that's so good. All right, Emma, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
It has for me as well. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful weekend.
You too. Bye.
Take care. Bye.